Welcome, bike ghost hunters, to another episode where we peel back the layers of our reality to glimpse the shadows lurking beneath. Tonight, we're unlocking the doors to some of the most paranormally active locations in the world. These aren't just buildings. They're stone and wood vessels holding echoes of the past. This is the Whispering Walls. Real cases of haunted architecture. First, let's step into the bewildering corridors of the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. For 38 years, from 1886 until her death in 1922, Sarah Winchester, heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune, oversaw non-stop construction. The result, a sprawling mansion with over 160 rooms, staircases that lead to ceilings, doors that open to sheer drops, and a maze of hallways designed to confuse something, or someone. Legend says a medium told Sarah that she must continuously build to appease the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. The constant hammering was meant to ward off vengeful ghosts. Sarah believed she was haunted, and the house became her sanctuary and her prison. The design is intentionally disorienting, a physical manifestation of a troubled mind trying to outsmart the supernatural. We received an email from a viewer, Chloe, who visited last year. She wrote, "I was on the grand tour, and we stopped near Sarah's bedroom. The guide was talking, but I felt this sudden, intense, cold spot. It wasn't just a draft. Then I heard a faint whisper, clear as day, right by my ear. It sounded like a woman's voice saying, 'Help me.' My blood ran cold. No one else seemed to notice. I know what I heard, and it felt like Sarah herself was still trapped there." Chloe's experience is one of thousands reported, suggesting that the spirits Sarah tried to appease are still very much in residence. Now, let's cross the Atlantic to a place steeped in centuries of blood, betrayal, and sorrow. The Tower of London. This fortress on the River Thames has been a royal palace, an armory, a treasury, and most famously, a prison. Its history is a grim tapestry of political intrigue and execution. Kings, queens, and traitors have met their end within these walls, and many are said to have never left. The most famous ghost is arguably Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, beheaded in 1536. Her apparition is often seen wandering near the site of her execution on Tower Green, sometimes carrying her own head. Then there are the two young princes, Edward V and his brother Richard, believed to have been murdered in the Bloody Tower in 1483. Their small, ghostly figures have been seen holding hands, their faint cries echoing in the night. We got an anonymous message from someone who claimed to be a former guard of the tower. He said, "One night, I was on patrol near the White Tower. It was around 2 a.m., completely silent. Suddenly, I saw a procession of figures, almost transparent, walking straight through a solid stone wall. They were dressed in what looked like medieval clothing. One figure, a tall woman in a white gown, paused and looked right at me. There was no face, just an overwhelming sense of sadness. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then, they were gone. We were told not to report these things officially, but every guard has a story. That place is alive with history, and its ghosts are its eternal keepers. The sheer weight of human suffering concentrated in one location seems to have permanently stained the Tower of London, making it a hotspot for paranormal activity that continues to this day. Finally, we journey to a much more modern and intimate haunting at the Sallie house in Atchison, Kansas. Unlike the grand scale of our previous locations, this is an ordinary-looking home with an extraordinarily dark reputation. The story begins in the early 1990s when a young couple, Tony and Deborah Pickman, moved in. Almost immediately, strange things started happening. Their dog would bark and growl at an empty spot in the nursery. Objects would move on their own, and strange noises filled the house. The activity centered around the spirit they came to believe was a little girl named Sallie. Initially, the encounters were playful, but they soon turned violent. Specifically towards Tony. He would be scratched, pushed, and even burned by unseen forces. Photographic and audio evidence captured during investigations seems to support their claims, showing mysterious mists, strange lights, and disembodied voices. The lore suggests Sallie was a young girl who died in the house during a botched appendectomy in the early 1900s, and her spirit holds a grudge against adult men. The Sallie house became a focal point for paranormal investigators, with many claiming it's not just a child's spirit, but something much more sinister, possibly demonic, mimicking a child to gain trust. This kind of domestic haunting hits closer to home for many of us. It reminds us that terror doesn't always live in ancient castles. Sometimes it lives right down the street. A viewer named Mark shared a chillingly similar experience. My family lived in a house in Ohio for 5 years. It started small. We'd hear footsteps upstairs when we were all downstairs. Then my daughter's toys would turn on by themselves in the middle of the night. The final straw was when a heavy kitchen knife flew off the counter and stuck into the wall, inches from my head. We were alone in the house. We moved out the next week. The Sallie house story gives me chills because I know that feeling of being targeted in your own home. From a mansion built to confuse ghosts, to a tower that serves as their eternal prison, to a simple house where a family was tormented. These walls have stories to tell. They have absorbed the emotions, the tragedies, and the energies of those who lived and died within them. And sometimes, if you listen closely enough, you can still hear them whispering. What do you think? Are these locations truly haunted, or is there a rational explanation for everything? Let us know your own experiences in the comments below. We read every single one. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the shadows. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation. Stay curious and stay safe.